Welcome to this Quick Take Rapid Learning module. Today's topic, how to help employees bounce back after a failure. Most every manager has seen it. A good employee botches an important assignment, disappointing himself, his team, and you too. Some people bounce back from mistakes, even big mistakes, with grit and resolve. Others feel crushed, lose confidence, and stop doing the things that made them successful. They may even quit their job or change careers, with potentially devastating consequences for both the employee and your organization. As a manager and coach, how you communicate with your employee can have a huge influence on their performance. So what's the best way to build resilience in your people when they've failed? How do you help them climb back on the horse? In this quick take, you will learn what works to help employees recover from failure and what doesn't work. How you can encourage people to forgive themselves for failing while still holding them accountable, and a 3-step model you can apply to help people bounce back. Let's start by looking at what doesn't work to help employees recover after a failure, building up their self-image. You'd think the best way to restore an employee's confidence would be to help them feel better about themselves. You're talented and you work hard, you might say. You've succeeded in the past, and I know you will in the future. This kind of pep talk, which you may have noticed avoids any reference to the failure, doesn't do any harm. But a research study on how messaging influences motivation suggests that it probably doesn't do much good either. The research comes out of the University of California, Berkeley. At the beginning of an experiment, participants were given a difficult test designed to elicit a high failure rate. The researchers wanted to see how these failures would affect the participants' motivation to study for a subsequent exam. After taking the test, a control group was simply given the results of their test scores. With another group, the researchers also gave feedback aimed at bolstering their self-image, such as, "You must be intelligent if you got into Berkeley." These comments, what the lead researcher called outside validation, had little effect on the participants' motivation compared with the control group. But another type of statement proved to be far more motivational. With the third group, researchers acknowledged the failure, but encouraged participants to be kind to themselves. They used such phrases as, "If you had difficulty with the test you just took, you're not alone," and "Try not to be too hard on yourself," and "It's common for people to have difficulty with tests like these." Compared with people who'd received the outside validation, essentially a pep talk, those who were encouraged to forgive themselves were more motivated to study for the next exam. In fact, they spent an average of 33% more time hitting the books and performed 6% better on the follow-up exam. So why was the self-forgiveness message effective? According to lead researcher Julia Brynas, people who were taught to be kind to themselves felt more motivated to see their mistakes as a chance for growth. Outside validation didn't seem to matter as much. But wait a minute, is it really a good idea to let people off the hook when they fail? What happens to accountability? Well, if you look closely at the study, you'll see that the researchers didn't let anyone off the hook. They acknowledged the failures. In fact, self-forgiveness requires people to accept that they failed. A pep talk, by contrast, can gloss over failures. It can imply that the mistakes didn't matter much, or was something that just happened. But neither of these things are likely to be true, and the employee knows it. And by minimizing failures, you make them harder to examine, so they're more likely to happen again. The magic of the self-compassion technique is that it allows people to accept that they made a mistake without being demotivated by it. For a coach whose job is to sustain motivation, the difference between outside validation that sidesteps the mistake and self-forgiveness, which acknowledges the mistake but makes it part of the learning process, is subtle but very powerful. Here's a 3-step model you can use to help your employees quickly recover from mistakes and get back on track. Acceptance. People need to face up to the fact that they made a mistake. Help employees own their failures and not try to blame them on outside factors. Forgiveness. Encourage employees to forgive themselves using language similar to that used in the study. Say things like, This is a tough job. You're not the only one who's had trouble. Or, simply, try not to beat yourself up too much over this. Planning. Finally, help employees plan the way forward, to figure out what they can do to fix the damage if possible, and how to avoid making a similar mistake next time. Let's review what we've learned in this quick take. External validation, the classic pep talk, doesn't help employees rebound after a failure. What does build resilience is getting people to acknowledge mistakes, forgive themselves, and move forward with a plan to get it right next time. Thanks for watching. Now return to the program page and take the quiz. Also, please take 15 seconds to click on the survey link and fill out an evaluation of this program.